I am Glaciier, and this is me discussing my project, the Bulldog. So the Bulldog, how I came up with the name, how it kind of came together. When I was younger, I used to have really chubby cheeks, so my siblings kind of gave me the nickname like the Bulldog. Because of my chubby cheeks, and they grab my teeth, they'd be like, chubby, chubby, chubby cheeks. It's like a joke and stuff like that. But I kind of, ended up liking what the Bulldog stood for when I went to my university. Our mascot, Victory, Bulldog, pillars that they had of knowledge, faith, service. The Bulldog is like, it means a lot because it's like, when you think about like a dog is loyal, a dog is strong, a dog is a man's best friend. And, I feel like the Bulldog, that's basically to say like, my relationship with God, like I'm God's Bulldog, and this is just me kind of talking about my story, talking about myself. This EP is really me putting myself out there and then telling people like, this is who I am. What was the production process like putting everything together for this project? Now, obviously this was my first project that I not worked on, but actually really wanted to actually deliver. So I had a different goal in mind, where it's like when I'm usually coming up with my EPs, they kind of come together after I'll record like 20 songs, 20 songs over a period of time. And I'll kind of like try to pinpoint what similarities I find within the songs, and I'll kind of then create maybe like 2 to 3 songs that kind of like tie everything together. And that's usually how I build my storylines. For really like the production aspect and building this EP, I had kind of had like a goal in mind for the storylines I wanted to kind of go with. The Bulldog kind of has a lot of inspiration drawn off the story of Joseph. I was really reading Genesis a lot at the time, and I was seeing a lot of memes too about how Joseph, he got like the fire coat, he got the ring. Basically Joseph's siblings were hating on his drip. So when I was putting together this project, I kind of was keeping that in mind, where I was like, okay, I want to kind of talk about specifically, when God takes things away from you, it is to prepare you for your destiny, prepare you for something greater, and align you with that, and when you do get aligned with that, your drip is gonna go up too. Me trying to introduce people into the Word of God while also, keeping that, swagger where it will still be able to connect with the youth on a surface level. I will say that, actually like buying all the leases, because this was a self-funded project, buying all the leases, paying for the music videos, and just trying to align my schedule. By myself, I only engineered 2 songs. Every other song on the project, it was pretty much me and another engineer working on it. So, it wasn't just me. There was a lot of help that I had on this project. I'm not gonna say this is by myself at all. And it's powerful because it just goes to show when you have a better team around you, you're gonna get better results. This is the first EP that I feel like is finally ready to be delivered and heard by the people. It was kind of cool seeing the music video process being made, like going behind the scenes and having the camera on you, and they're testing all the different lighting, and being in the booth and meeting all these people, and they're saying, oh, you should say it like this. It was a really great experience overall. I'm not gonna lie. There were obviously setbacks and unexpected expenses, that I wasn't intending for it, but when you want to get the end result that you're trying to get to, a lot of things in music, it does just come down to the business side of it. Production wise, it does take a lot of patience, because I see why it's like you could want to just drop a project now, but there's a lot of like regulation or things that you have to follow in order to make sure that your process is good. You gotta make sure you got your cover, your songs all cleared. You want to have a couple music videos, then it's just like, it's a lot. But when you finally have the end result in front of you and you see all your work done, it's kind of like you built a Lego set for yourself, and it's really satisfying. Was there a message you were trying to convey? Most definitely. I felt like the most powerful EPs, most powerful albums, most powerful songs, there's always an underlining message. That's what puts the soul in, you know, the soul food. But it's being able to, I was telling my friend this because he was recently asking me, when you're writing your lyrics, when you're coming up with your songs, what's kind of like your thought process behind it? And I say, imagine you and the listener are playing a game of charades. And so you are trying to help the listener create an image based on the words that you are saying without actually giving it away. You know, I feel like the best songs that are able to create an image in our brain and create an action from what they are hearing, you know, that is a really well done song. Like, you know, you could say people, the demographic that listens to Taylor Swift, you know, they hate their exes or something, whatever, I don't know. Or like, you could say when people listen to NBA Youngboy, they just start getting more amped up. They just want to start, you know, get more violent. Like, yeah. You know, I want my music to be able to create an emotion out of people in that same way. And it connects to the message in the sense of when God takes things away from your life. And that was what I literally said in Art of the Deal, right? He is going to always restore something to you, something greater, in abundance. And his love is unfailing. You know, he will always go out of his way to help you if you truly ask for it. And that's why I said, and come home. You know, he's waiting for your call. Got your gifts all on his shelf. Because that's true. Like, a lot of things that you're asking for, like, God knows what you're asking for. You may not even truly understand what you're asking for, but God knows what you're truly trying to say. And that's why we're children. We don't fully know what power our words have, you know. So that's why we gotta connect to God. And I said it in my song, like, God is the source that I will not lie. Like, the whole thing with Bulldog is, when you stay connected with God, it's like any adversary that you come across, you know you're gonna overcome it, and you're gonna overcome it gracefully. You know, you're gonna overcome it fly with your swag. So yeah, you know, the overall message is just understand, like, bro, when you got God on your side, like, anything that gets taken away from you, it's anything that hurts you is for you to transform you. Always remember that. Always remember that. Who is the target audience? I don't really like questions like this because I feel like there's not really like a, you know, like a specific way that I would want my audience or people who listen to my music to look. It's more so of like my songs, if they could create a feeling within you, I would want the people who listen to my music to want to feel, you know, restored. A second wind has hit them. You know, like they feel motivated. Like, I want my music to feel like you're entering a movie scene where it's like you're getting ready. You're about to enter that training montage to get yourself back. You're about to enter that training montage before you get ready to, you know, prepare for that boss battle at the end. You ain't in that training montage to really, you know, just transform yourself. I feel like my music, it does that. When you listen to my music, it's gonna want to inspire you. It's gonna want to motivate you to be like, bro, I can do it. You know, with the power of God on my side, I can do anything, bro. And that's the whole purpose of running with faith. You know, when you're running with faith, and I said in my lyric, the load on my back was heavy. You know, that's the reason I had back spasms. Metaphorically speaking. You know, it's like when you're carrying so much on your back, like it's too much. And that's why when you're running with faith, you have God to also carry some of that burden. You know, you have God to kind of uplift you, to give you that extra strength that you need to overcome this season and this trial in your life. And I know this is kind of connected back to the other question, like specifically in my music video, Swag Back, the shirt that I was wearing, right, it was 2 Corinthians 4, chapter 5. For what we preach is not ourselves, but Yahshua Messiah as Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Yahshua's sake. Which is basically saying, like, it connects to the verse of Matthew where it says, he who loses his life for my sake shall find it. So me, the whole thing with Swag Back was basically saying, I got my swag back with God. I got my swag back because of Yahshua. He gave me my swag. Me being fly came from God. Joseph, right, one of my favorite quotes that I also like from Genesis, it says, Pharaoh was asking, how do you do the things that you do? And Joseph answered him simply like, I cannot give you the answer that you desire, but God can give you what you are looking for. So Joseph himself is basically telling you like, bro, I'm just a vessel, I'm just a human, but God can give you the answer that you are looking for. God is the source of my greatness, and that's just the main message I'm trying to convey. And I guess that kind of deviates from what the question was of who the target audience was. The target audience is anybody who wants to accept what God has in their life. Except that I want my song to kind of be like an introduction, almost like baby food for baby believers, for them to start walking with their path with God. I want my music to be the seed planter. Like, you're starting to understand like there can be good musicians that are also talking about God and are trying to subliminally put that message into our mind, where it's like we can go to God for our problems. We can. And trust and believe he does keep his promises. What is your favorite song on the EP? My favorite song on the EP is actually Abundance. Abundance, I think that's the song I actually worked on the most out of all the projects, because the simple fact, number one, obviously I was working on it by myself, but there were just so many versions that I created of it or that I mixed that I just didn't feel like it was creating the emotion that I was trying to look for. It wasn't giving me the emotion that I wanted to feel after the song stopped. You know, like when the song stops, I want to just be taken back, you know, because the song is 4 minutes long. So if I do not successfully create an emotion, do not successfully create a storyline within that song, I failed. I had 4 minutes to create an emotion out of you, and I didn't. I failed, you know. And the first time I created Abundance, I kind of looped over I Thank God 3 times. That same chorus 3 times, and it just became very repetitive. It's just too much. So I had to change the lyrics. And then I was like, I don't think I should sing this song. I don't think I should be on the chorus. Originally, I was on the chorus too, and I had a conversation with my friend Trey, who makes music as well. And he didn't even listen to the actual song Abundance. It was another song that was similar to Abundance with the way that I made it. And he was like, yeah, bro, I just don't think, you know, you gotta be singing, you know. He was like, you gotta look at music like it's a project, like it's a goal, you know. And sometimes for some goals that you're trying to make, you can't do it by yourself. You know, you're gonna need a team. And so that was when I was really like, okay, I'm definitely going to need a girl on the chorus. And I had a female friend that I was asking for so long, and we never ended up recording. I got another female's vocals, and I was sitting on those vocals for a month. And it was just like, I just kept wanting to get the best out of Abundance. So it was like I just kept experimenting different things and just trying this, trying that. Eventually, you know, finally when it came down to me, you know, trying to get close to that final version, that final mix that I wanted, I'd actually had Germ Juice. He had to export a song, but he walked into while I was in the studio while I was mixing it, and he kind of helped guide me to create the vibe of the song. You know, he helped me create that starter vibe. And once he kind of gave me that direction, he kind of gave me that guidance, I kind of just went from there. You know, I was able to come up with that final project. And, you know, it was a lot of revisions. Because there was even one mistake that I made where it was like one of the background harmonies were out of tune. So it was completely like it was just ruining the whole flow of it. It was ruining the whole flow of the song because one of the harmonies was just so off tune that it just kept throwing the song off. And it wasn't until literally it was like a different day. I didn't even catch it the initial day I was working on it. It was a different day. I was looking through all of the stems and I was like, why is this auto-tune on this setting? And I changed it. But yeah, Abundance really, that song is my pride and joy because it's very honest too. It talks a little bit about, you know, the things that I was going through with my walk with God. But most importantly, I think it just captures the essence of You know, I say when music is used properly, it is the essence of uplifting our soul to a higher elevation. That song, when you hear that "Thank God," when you're hearing that chorus, it does something to you in your spirit. It does something to you that it crystallizes your essence, you know. And that's where the name Glacier came from, where it's like, you know what holy water is? Holy water is water that is blessed. And for that water to be blessed, when you actually speak to water, it responds back to you. It actually responds back to your emotions. So, and we're humans, so we're made of 70% water. So when you are hearing, I thank God because He gave me everything. When you are hearing that message over and over and over, it's creating a mantra, and it is allowing, you know, that connection to you and God to be reopened, which is why abundance is so important, because the song following after that is God's love. You are abundant when you are moving in God's love. And when you are moving in God's love, you can finally come home, you know, come back home to the Heavenly Father. What does Glacier have in store for the future? Obviously, I'm gonna keep working on my craft, keep working on what I can do to get better. Music has not been about the music for me. It will never be about the music for me. It's about, there's an emotion I'm trying to create, and I'm gonna bring that emotion out, you know. And the better I get at being able to bring my actual ideas into reality, I just hope the more that you guys will enjoy it, you know. I hope that you guys continue to enjoy the ideas that I foster, and I hope we build a community full of angels. So yeah, I'm Glacier, you know, and I really do hope that, you know, you appreciate and getting to know me, getting to connect with me. Make sure you check out my EP, The Bulldog, release 1/26/26 on all platforms. Leave your feedback below always, you know, in the comments. I love reading comments and just seeing what I could have did better here or there. You know, music is meant to be a collaborative group process, you know, where everybody can put in their input, you know. But yeah, thank you for watching and stay blessed.